Wife cheated. I am so angry, I am scared of myself. So, after finding out about 2 weeks ago, I'm a little confused. I've been suspicious for a while, but there haven't been any concrete red flags. She reacted with irrational anger when I confronted her, which made me wonder how I could make such a charge against her. Made me confident that she would never lie. I checked her computer and phone but couldn't find anything, so I bought some tiny cameras and hid them all over the house. The following weekend, I traveled to see some friends. My wife and I met in Sweden when we were both in our 20s, and she was a 21-year-old woman with a 3-year-old child. We both grew up in Norway near the Swedish border. I liked each other, and I've been that child's father for the past 11 years. That man is my son. I adore him. Although it doesn't really matter, we have been married for 6 years. To cut a long story short, I watched the video when I went home early, knowing she wouldn't be there. Sure enough, she was acting inappropriately with another man there. He immediately came to mind as Theodore, a co-worker with whom I had a cordial relationship. I used to think that seeing red was just figurative language, but I was actually seeing red. I am actually a very mellow guy and have never been that angry, but I suddenly lost it. I slammed into the walls and kicked the door to the bedroom so hard that it flew off its hinges and broke the glass coffee table we had in the living room. Unaware of what I was doing, I bit the inside of my cheek. However, I spat blood all over the floor and wall when I screamed. I eventually managed to hit my head pretty hard, which made me realize what was going on. I only needed to leave after taking one look at the carnage. I believe I would be in jail if my wife had entered at that point. For domestic abuse in the best-case scenario and for murder in the worst, I hastily packed a suitcase with necessities and my laptop because I use simulation and modeling at work and need my custom computer to do my job. I forwarded Theodore's wife a copy of the video, but other than to inform her that her husband was having an extramarital affair with my wife, I really didn't say much. Outside of our apartment building, I ran into my son and gave him a big hug before telling him that I would always love him, but that I had to leave because his mother had been cheating on me. I'm sorry, I told him. He shouldn't have to deal with that. However, I wasn't really myself at the time, so it just came out. I traveled to the border to visit my family in Norway, but they refused to let me pass due to COVID. I've been staying in a cheap Airbnb, working but feeling like a zombie, and I haven't spoken to my wife. My son is the only one I've replied to. He has been questioning me, and I have tried to be as open and honest with him as I can by telling him that I am unsure of what will happen after divorce. I've been trying to find a good attorney, and my wife and her family have sent me a ton of messages. None of it has gotten a response from me. As far as I'm aware, only my parents are aware of my situation. I don't want to talk to my friends because they are also friends with my wife, which means that I don't currently have a lot of good support. I'm worried that if I speak to or see her again, I'll snap and say or do something that I can't undo. Not only that, but I don't even know where to begin. I don't want to lose touch with my son. I need to respond to my wife at some point, but I still feel like I can't think clearly because I'm so enraged. I don't know how to get past this. As of right now, I would say it hasn't changed at all. I just wanted to try writing this out and see if that helps. Update. Mini update. Wife cheated. I am so angry I am scared of myself. I recently went to a cage fighting club, so things are better. I should really emphasize that I have absolutely no fighting skills, am in poor physical condition, and have been severely beaten in fights in the past. When I spoke with them and explained the situation, they were genuinely amiable and eager to assist. My anger was first stoked by a 2-hour workout, and when that failed to do so, I was forced to spar with a highly skilled opponent. He was clearly very gentle with me, and despite my best efforts, I didn't even give him a workout. It's pretty obvious that he did nothing but allow me to kick and punch him, but he effortlessly deflected all of my attempts. He was quick to smack me back the few times I was able to strike with some force. He gently taps me, which makes me laugh because I have no idea what I'm doing. Before hitting me again, he would always check to see if I was all right. On occasion, when he thought he may have hit me too hard, he even apologized for hitting me. Imagine saying you're sorry for hitting the person you were fighting. He obviously didn't see you as a threat at all. I am determined to learn how to fight because I now respect those who can defend themselves. These guys were the most laid-back individuals I have ever met. I want to possess their composure. My little altercation was a big help and really lessened the tension. I don't feel that burning rage anymore. I'm still angry, but it's controllable now. I'm returning for more training and beatings. Even now, I'm still hesitant to meet my wife. When we spoke, I assured my son that everything would be all right. No matter what happens between his mother and I still think of him as my son. I believe you are greatly appreciated for that. I've spoken to a few of our mutual friends and her parents, and it seems that my wife has started to act strangely. She has been calling and speaking with everyone day and night at all hours. She seems to have told almost everyone everything, and she even said she would pay anyone who could connect her with me. I was considering only communicating with my wife through a lawyer, but I simply cannot afford it, so I have asked my cousin to serve as a go-between. I provided her with a few questions to ask, and we'll see where it goes from there. The app's wife and I will speak again the following week. I received some strong advice from Redditors to speak with my wife and let her know that if I can adopt my son, I'll think about reconciling. However, I would never do that. I will never do that. I will never ever use my son as a pawn in anything. I would dearly love to adopt him as things stand right now, but only if he asks me to, and only if I am certain that it is what he wants and that he is not being influenced or pressured by anyone. I believe I will succeed because I have read so much helpful advice on this site. I think I now have a strategy in place to move forward. Now, update 2. Wife cheated. I am so angry I am scared of myself. I apologize for the radio silence. Since my last post, I've been very busy. I frequently receive questions in my private messages, so I decided it would be simpler to simply make this update. After writing my previous post, I began calling my son twice a day. He would constantly reassure me that everything was fine, but I guess it wasn't. I was concentrating on trying to gain control of myself, so I started visiting IC, which was somewhat helpful. But when I went to try boxing, the first facility I went to was kind of dirty and run down. And that's what really changed things. Still, the 5 men who were present seemed to have an incredible sense of camaraderie, and I desperately wanted to be a part of it. I really wanted to be in on that. The old man, who was the establishment's owner and apparently made membership decisions, was who they all instructed me to speak with, so I was a little hesitant. Let's just say the old man is abrasive. He initially just listened, but once he began to speak, I started to become increasingly agitated. It's difficult for me to pinpoint what exactly irritated me because everything he said was true. Alternatively, perhaps the tone, which seemed to be accusatory in nature with every question and sentence, was the cause. I suddenly found myself in a position of having to argue with the old man in order to convince him that I was deserving after he made me feel like I wasn't good enough to join his club. I'm still not sure if he is merely a jerk or a genius of some sort. Nevertheless, despite being extremely uncomfortable to be around, the old man has had a really positive impact on my life. I can now see why people regard and admire him in such high regard. The elderly man has assisted me in understanding why I was so irate and in learning how to think more clearly in the future. It's a whole other story, but this is already getting long, so let's get back to the main topic. My son called me back a few days after I posted it, about 20 minutes after we had spoken. He apologized for lying to me while crying to me while crying. When he claimed things were fine at home, he lied. He went on to tell me that my wife was just sitting in front of the TV, staring at it even if he turned it off. He didn't have any food to eat. The house smells, and the only thing he had eaten in the last 2 days was some sandwiches a friend's mother had made for him when he visited. Of course, I immediately rushed home. I could smell the rotten garbage in the hallway even before I got in the door. The house was a absolute filthy mess. It clearly hadn't been cleaned since I left almost a month ago. The floor wore covered in crumpled up sheets of paper, overflowing dirty dishes in the sink. Glass shards litter the ground. The smell of rotting garbage is abhorrent. I went to check on my son first. I had picked up a burger for him on the way over. I asked him to stay in this room and eat while I go and talk to his mum. I assured him everything would be okay. I was home. I was going to take care of him. He cried and hugged me for a bit before I went to check on his mother. That hug felt so good. I had missed him so much. I am never leaving him again. My wife sat staring at the screen like my son had described it to me. What he didn't tell me was how terrible she looked. She had lost a terrifying amount of weight. She was just skin and bones. Her eyes were sunk into her head. Dark rings, lifeless skin, cracked lips, messy, dirty hair, filthy clothes. I grabbed a chair and set myself down between her and the TV. The smell coming off her was absolutely terrible. There was a bucket on the floor. Later found out it was half full of a week-old vomit. I felt a deep pain for her. I wanted to protect her, help her, make her better. For a while, I completely forgot what she had done. Seeing her like this was really painful for me. Despite what she has done, I guess, in some ways, I still care about and love her. I'm kind of terrified by that fact. I believe there is a problem with me. Since she was obviously not present, I was at a loss for words with her. Honestly, she questioned my existence. As soon as I affirmed, she started sobbing uncontrollably in a way I've never witnessed anyone else cry. Her wailing, or perhaps crying, was so loud that it slightly startled me. She screamed for a moment, then either fell asleep or fainted. She had a heart rate that fluctuated between 100 and 150, so I put my Fitbit on her arm because I don't really know how to take someone's pulse. Before I ran and called our neighbor for assistance, I made sure she was lying comfortably on the sofa and wiped the snot from her face. While I took her to the hospital, they were happy to watch our son. I'm a little fuzzy on the dates, to be honest, but I believe she has been there for 7 days. I've been there once, but she became so upset when she saw me that the doctors advised me not to go back just yet. She has yet to receive a diagnosis, and it is unknown when or even if she will recover. Since I made sure my son received regular IC and he appears to be doing better now, I have been concentrating on providing for his needs. There is no doubt that this has traumatized him. I am wallowing in guilt over my part in his suffering. I've been in touch with a lawyer to make an effort to obtain custody rights for obvious reasons. I'm not sure how that will turn out. Even though I've already started the divorce process, I'm delaying it for the time being. We cleaned the house over the course of several days. I cleaned the refrigerator with bleach, but it still smelled like rotten food, so I had to buy a new one. Additionally, I discovered that my wife had taken all of my dirty laundry and formed it into a body shape in bed. These additions were made to make it look anatomically correct, and it is kind of disturbing, to be honest. I looked through all of her papers that she had scattered around the house. They were mostly meaningless nonsense. A few pages include dates and times. Apart from a few pages that have long lines of sorry, 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 sorry written on them, I can't understand most of it. In the middle of a sentence, the majority of text pages simply transition to another wiggly line. What to do is beyond me. My anger has completely subsided and been replaced by sadness over the circumstance and the trauma and suffering my son has experienced. I feel bad for my wife, but I also comprehend why I was upset and how I've changed to cope. She is to blame for the fact that I have lost a part of myself. I'm not sure if I have it in me to forgive that. For a long time, a significant aspect of my personality involved being a good husband and provider. Her affair fatally wounded that aspect of me, and I left it behind because it was too painful to hold on to. It's too early to make any predictions about our final destination because all options are still open. I'll just keep working to reestablish my sense of masculinity and self-worth. If my wife recovers, I'll talk to her and see where things go from there. I'm still in pain and confused. I must now pay attention to my son and make sure he is okay. Sorry, it's not anything spectacular like the other stories I have read on here with principled confrontations and epic revenge. I am exhausted and sad. I don't know what to do. It was all so clear-cut in my mind before I came back. Now I just can't see any good ways forward. Update 3 received letter. Wife cheated. I am so angry. I am scared of myself. I have some inquiries. Perhaps you can help me shed some light on this from various perspectives. Just divorced to be if you're going to post in the comments. I won't bother you, so don't bother you, so don't bother. I'll decide what's best for me and my family going forward, whatever that may be, because I know that whatever happens in the end, it's my choice. Please be patient if I ramble a bit because I haven't been getting much sleep and am a little confused. I really value the variety of viewpoints you offer because it makes it easier for me to consider things from different angles. The wife, who is still in the hospital, won't let anyone see her besides her mother. She hasn't given me any other instructions besides not to receive visitors, including any requests that they speak with me on her behalf or exert pressure on me. She has admitted to cheating to almost everyone, but she hasn't gone into detail. Her calls have been filled with frantic statements like, "I cheated. He's leaving me. What do I do?" Thus, unless I have called them to solicit their assistance or opinion, people have largely been leaving me alone. The letter my wife's mother gave me a few days ago has been written to me. It is 32 pages long. Here, I'll make an effort to rephrase the key ideas. She expressed regret for what she had done to my family, including my son and I, and she promised to sign any document I would like to present to her. Divorce papers, post-nuptial agreements, whatever. She also admits to having an emotional, later physical, online relationship with a different man for 2 months prior to the start of the current relationship. She is telling the truth, and I had no idea about this at all. She has provided me with all of her login information to everything, and her confession is very detailed, proving that she is being completely honest. She readily acknowledges that the attention and the excitement had her spellbound, but she appears genuinely perplexed about how she could have allowed anything to have happened. She is telling the truth, in my opinion. Her story is supported by emails, messages, call logs, etc. She also showed me a thumb drive that was stashed away in one of her drawers and contained a diary that dated back almost 10 years. According to what I have read so far, her diary and her letter appear to be perfectly in sync. She explains that flirting was all there was to the original EO Online, which was more of a game. There is no meet-up or S-timing. It continued until one day, all of a sudden, she felt moved to write this guy a letter. Then she abruptly ended it. Despite trying, she couldn't muster the courage to tell me, the diary indicates. She was flattered and received a major ego boost when the main affair began because this guy was paying attention to her. He is a very attractive man, almost like a model. I have met his wife, and she is absolutely stunning. 10/10, absolutely, stunningly lovely. The attention from this attractive man who was married to such an attractive woman gave my wife's ego a huge boost, and it seems that this gave her an addictive rush. She had the impression that she must be exceptionally unique if she can attract App's attention over his lovely wife. She acknowledges that she knew what she was doing was wrong, but she also exhibits a sincere lack of understanding as to why she was unable to stop herself. She despises herself for losing control. If I have this right, the relationship only became physical once the App started to grow disinterested in her. She began utilizing S-time to maintain his interest and command his full attention. According to the diary, she seems to view her alone time as more of a chore than something she enjoys. Instead, she seems to do it primarily as a means of gaining his attention, as though it were a reward. She obviously struggles with guilt, especially in the beginning, but she soon begins to compartmentalize this. However, we naturally grew apart and our relationship suffers as a result of what she is doing. In her diary and in her confession, she said that the relationship lasted for 4 weeks and that they had 5 kisses and incestuous encounters. This is supported by her location information and hotel and other credit card bills. The rest is history, which you are already familiar with. The last line of her letter reads, "I'm not sure who had the affair, or at the very least I don't recognize it as something I did. I don't know how I could hurt the people I love most in my life by so easily letting go of my morals and my beliefs. Why I couldn't stop myself is beyond me. Because I don't deserve your understanding or forgiveness. I won't insult you by pleading for either. The only way I can help you and our son heal is if I can be of some assistance. Without hesitation, I will comply with anything you request. No matter how big or small you think it might be, I'll do whatever I can to help. Once I'm out of here, I'll move in with my mother and I won't come back unless you call. I don't want to be here to remind either of you of the suffering I've brought upon. I'm truly sorry for what I did, and my greatest wish for you is that you recover and find a partner who will make you happy. I don't know how to express how sorry I am, but please know that I truly mean it. I hope I haven't ruined your capacity for love and trust in the future with a deserving person. I won't be with anyone else because I'm obviously unsafe to be with them. I'll go to therapy to try to figure out what's wrong with me and maybe someday get it fixed, but right now I have no idea who I am or why I couldn't control myself. Even though I was aware that what I did was wrong and would harm everyone, including myself, I still went ahead and did it. For a fleeting moment, I wanted to feel a little better about myself, so I selfishly caused everything that happened. As soon as I saw the camera, you left in the bedroom and saw the pain on your face. Your face was filled with the most agonizing pain as you watched the tape with me and the other man. I became aware of my delusion and how dreadfully evil I had become at that point. Unfortunately, I cannot find salvation. I will always love you, but I wish I could go back in time and undo everything. I'm sorry, but I'm unable. Reading it made me cry in an ugly way, and I'm not sure what to do. I've spent the entire night reading, and as a result, I feel emotionally spent, uncertain of everything, and confused. I rewatched the video and the one of me going insane. I don't recall many of the events captured on camera. I find it extremely painful to observe my wife's behavior, but I keep doing so. I keep going back and watching it from the beginning to the end over and over again. Why can't I stop staring at it? It's also very disturbing to watch myself go crazy, and I can't stop doing that either. I try to put it away, but an hour or so later, I'm back to watching it again. It hurts me, so I don't understand why I do it. A DW on this site might be able to shed some light on whether what she's saying is even plausible, that someone can be drawn into an affair to the point where their behavior turns compulsive and they no longer have any real control over their actions. Her journals also make it abundantly clear that she probably started experiencing depression 3 years ago after the passing of her favorite aunt. After this, I would say her outlook on life becomes very gloomy, almost hopeless. In other accounts I've read, depression seems to result in significant personality changes and act as a sexual trigger. Any guidance on this would be greatly appreciated. She obviously never loved any of these men. Instead, she loved the boost to her ego, the boost to her self-esteem, and the rush she got from them appearing to give her the right advice. She completely cut off contact with her app on D-Day and called his wife to inform her of the affair. I know this because the app's wife told me that when we first met, she actually inquired about having a retaliation affair. Getting revenge was all that she could think about. Like, that would be of any assistance? She's probably the most obnoxious woman I've ever met. Beauty aside, she was like talking to nails on a chalkboard. Naturally, we won't be having an affair, and we won't be having an affair, and we won't ever actually meet again. I'm stuck and unable to think clearly, so I could use some assistance. I also can't sleep. You date for. Wife cheated. I am so angry I am scared of myself. I want to express my gratitude to everyone on this forum for all the assistance I have received in navigating this catastrophe. I feel like I can control things again, so I'm good now. My wife continues to reject my requests to see her, and her mother continues to mediate our interactions. In my letter to her, I made an effort to hold her accountable for her promise, that she would take any action she could think of to help in any way, she said. So I told her mother that I thought us talking would be helpful. In an effort to better understand, I also requested that we visit her doctor together. If she isn't there, the doctor won't tell me anything. I'll try to have patience. In conclusion, I have been given a PT diagnosis, and my wife has been given a persistent depression and mild bipolar disorder diagnosis. They are experimenting with various medications for her because she has a chemical imbalance in her brain. A predator then came into her path after her condition made her vulnerable, and many of you were correct. Throughout the course of their relationship, her app frequently cheated on his wife with several women at once. They are divorcing, and according to what I've heard, the app was only lightly beaten. The app was only lightly beaten. The husbands of the majority of the women App had affairs with were contacted by Ape's wife. Most days, I stay with a friend who helps me stay focused. The following weekend, my son and I are going camping. I was attempting to confirm whether the descriptions in her diary, according to which she thought of the time as a chore, were accurate. She appears to be waiting for it to end from her disengaged demeanor and facial expressions in the video. I have deleted the video of her and I acting irrationally even though I haven't decided what to do yet. I simply couldn't put it away because it was hurting me. I have a part of me that is yelling at me to run away and find someone else or to just walk away. I keep asking myself questions like, what if she cheats again? How can I trust her? Can I stop the movie playing in my head? Will I divorce her in X years because I can't get past this? And can I get rid of the movie running on loop in my mind? These are the questions that I find the hardest to answer. However, a divorce would undoubtedly result in me losing some of my son's daily attention, and he undoubtedly needs me right now. Given recent events, it is not surprising that he is terrified of being abandoned. I believe that if I leave his mother right now, things will get worse for him. What's keeping me from leaving him if I can leave her the way she is now? He'll likely view it that way. We have become closer than ever since beginning to attend the boxing gym together. I have a lot of strength and motivation to approach this with an open mind because I am there for my son. Even if I made the decision to get a divorce, I'm not sure if I could actually follow through on it in the near future because of how dependent he is on me right now. He has pleaded with me not to abandon him once more because the 2 weeks I was gone were extremely traumatic for him. It is impossible to predict how long it will take for his mother to recover enough to raise him again in a loving manner. Maybe she wouldn't recover if I divorced right now. Even if I get a divorce from her, the pain and the scars will still be there. That is something I'll bring to any new relationship. That, in my opinion, would significantly lower the likelihood that such relationships would succeed. Isn't it fortunate that I'm with her while I try to recover because at least she'll understand why I'm acting this way and why I'm having trouble? Women my age seem to either be divorced for good reasons or they are so ravaged by baby rabies that they will desperately go for anyone. So if I leave her, what is really waiting for me out there? They don't really think about whether the partner they select will be a good one for them over the long term. To enter a relationship, they appear very eager to play a part. I don't think that will last for very long. Because one party is desperate and I am broken, it seems to me that there is a significant chance that a series of relationships will start out doomed. Stranger dating and impromptu hookups don't really appeal to me. My wife is the only person I have ever felt like she actually really gets me, and it took a long time to get to that point. How long would it take me to find someone who understands me as well as my wife does, though? Wouldn't I be able to use that in my own healing? How long would that take? Would I ever be able to find someone else who could do that? Given the circumstances, I actually believe that my wife is less likely to cheat again than a new partner, though there is no guarantee that a new partner wouldn't do the same. My son also needs his mother, and she must first heal in order to fill that role once more. I'm not sure whether she will recover more quickly and effectively if I divorce her or if we try to make amends. Noe, Inge, it really irritates me. If I'm not there with them, how can I be sure she is a secure person for my son to be around? Based on what I've learned here, it appears those who choose to jump to divorce don't heal very well. Would I be better off alone or with her when it comes to my own healing? When the Way Ward actively participates in the healing over a minimum of 3-5 years, it appears that this will produce the best results in terms of healing. To be honest, I'm not even sure if she is currently capable of doing that. So here I am, feeling incredibly conflicted, with a million questions swirling around in my head and essentially no solutions. Reconciliation, divorce, and everything in between are still my two biggest struggles. As it turns out, my love for my wife is still undeniable and difficult to break. The prideful part of me wants to hate her, not love her, so I really don't want to, but I simply cannot pretend to myself that I do not still adore her. I don't want to hurt her or anyone else, even though for the first few weeks, I fantasized about her suffering the same fate as me. It would be of no use to me. In either case, I see a difficult and protracted road ahead of us. I pray I have the stamina to persevere and the patience to ensure that I choose the best course of action for my family and myself. I have only been able to come to the conclusion that if I choose to offer R, I will need to see some effort on his part. Until I am confident that we are two people who are wholly committed to that course of action, I will not offer R. Furthermore, if we take R, she will essentially be on probation while in prison. If I feel I can't trust her, what other option do I have if I don't want to be that guy? Will require a lot of therapy in either case. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't even want to R. I'm getting stressed out because not being able to talk to her is starting to feel like a real burden. I feel like we need to talk right away. I'm open to any helpful recommendations for these conversations, so please share. Thank you all once more. Redditors, reactions. Redditor 1. Nothing I can add other than we hear you and wish you all the luck you need. Redditor 2. You already decided what you're gonna do. Then what's the point of asking the question? You already decided not to leave your son with this woman all alone, and then you must have decided that you can't leave her either because of your son. If you are willing to sacrifice your life to be with your wife even after the betrayal, then it's your choice. We can do nothing. We can just wish you good luck for that. Redditor 3. Right now you need custody of your son and giving him stability. Leave the divorce decision for now. There's no rush. Your wife needs to get better before any talks of reconciliation are on the table. Redditor follow-up. This 100 this. You, your son, and your wife need the situation to stabilize and calm down. Both of you are suffering from some serious mental disturbances at the moment. Your PSD from having to deal with the situation and her depression and BPD. Both of you need treatment and help. I won't excuse her cheating, but mentally ill people do not always make sane decisions. Getting help will also mean more stability and a better outcome for your son. Focus on healing yourself to help your son. If you do decide not to reconcile, reconciling is often harder than the alternative and has a poor success rate. Then just remember that there are many, many good women out there who have left cheating and abusive husbands. They don't all have baby rabies and just want a good, honest, trustworthy partner in their lives. Redditor 4. Sure, I have persistent depression and abandonment issues. I don't cheat even when I've been deeply dissatisfied with my partner and come on to. Her conditions may have made her cheating easier to fall into, but she cheated because she wanted to. Do not pass off her choices on another or her conditions. Pretending she doesn't have agency in the face of forces she must contend with daily means she will never be worthy of trust, even with work. She accepts full accountability, and you pass her full accountability, or she will forever use that wild card to act out. That said, she seems genuine. Just don't make the mistake of coddling her through this. She's got it rough, but she made this what it was and needs to own it fully, and you taking responsibility off her even in your own head is not a favor. It's a condemnation. Redditor 5. Man, I have walked a few miles in your shoes. Actually, I am aware of my feelings. I naturally found out online. I was terrified when she suddenly failed to return home one day. A man told me she had moved in with another man 3 days later. I experienced a heart-wrenching sensation. Literally, that is. Physical discomfort was felt. People frequently grab onto the sore spot when they are hurt. I first held my belly and then my chest. Exceptionally, the judge in the divorce court was a friend who attended our wedding and had to consult the locals. It wasn't exactly a jury, but rather a group of people who didn't give a damn and just wanted to finish their business, awaiting their turn at the plate. Since then, I have only ever seen her once. Because I was creating a stir, she was giving me the cold eye. If it wasn't a big deal, it was it. It took me 5 years to even start getting better. 5 years for it to scab over and 5 years for it to stop hurting. Never received an apology, neither. Do nothing. Your marriage is dead, in my opinion. Even if you stay together until death, you will never be able to forgive her, even though you may claim to. You'll be on guard and perhaps even afraid of life without her. That hurt caused by betrayal. To betray a person they claim to love, do not consider that. She was prepared to seriously harm you and to make you suffer. Who would do that to another person, especially you and your wife? It's not like fighting where occasionally killing is required, but in this case, those conditions weren't present. The question at the end of the day is always the same. Which is better for you, having her or not having her? Your current state of shock will probably last for some time, possibly a long time. Your thoughts are circling randomly, falling where they do, and spinning in circles in your head like clothes in a dryer that is on repeat. How many cycles does it take to dry a load of laundry? You have a dizzying amount of intrusive followed by another confusion, no cohesiveness as the next cycle intrudes once more. It takes about 5 years to start feeling normal, as I and several of my friends have experienced. I'm sorry, dude, but once more, do you perform better with or without her? Buddy, just deal with the pain. The pain will be excruciating. Both it and you, however, are immovable and you cannot escape either. It is up to you what you do with the time you, I, or everyone else have in order to live the life you have been given by the fairy godmother, or whoever you want to call her. The question is whether you can do it because you know in your heart what needs to be done. Amigo, good luck. You are alive and the world exists. Be sincere with yourself. Knowing oneself. Always be true to yourself. I listened as other people spoke those words. After a while, focus on the immediate surrounding. Try it. However difficult, it is incredibly easy. Just guts are needed. Additionally, courage alone is not always sufficient. Answer. Thank you for sharing your experience. I am trying to steel myself for a marathon. I hope I have the strength for my son's sake. Redditor 6. If you stay, be prepared to share your wife with her next app and then the many that follow. Another post in cheating stories related how his wife of 40 years cheated for at least 30 years. He refuses to DNA test his daughters. Think about that.